On my 30th birthday, I drove 2 hours to my parents' house with a cake and a gift for my mom, because she always said your birth was the day I did all the work. When I got there, everyone was gone. They were at a surprise party, for my cousin. My dad texted, "We didn't think you'd mind." I sat on the porch until the sun went down. 5 months later, I got a call, "Your name's on the will, but there's a catch." I showed up at the lawyer's office and found out why they'd pretended I didn't exist. So, my 30th birthday was supposed to be just another quiet Tuesday. I'm not a big party person. Never was. I work a lot, I don't have kids, and my circle of friends is small. But my mom always made a big deal about my birthday, not to celebrate me, but to remind me that it was her day too. Every single year, she'd say, "You just laid there screaming. I did all the work." So, I started bringing her a gift on my birthday. A cake, a card, something small. I'd drive from Bloomington up to my parents' house in Kokomo and we'd sit, have coffee, and she'd accept her reward for birthing me like she was doing me a favor. It wasn't perfect, but it was tradition. And if I'm being honest, I was holding on to any scrap of connection. Even if it meant playing along with her weird jokes about how I owed her for being born. So that day, I bought a carrot cake from this little place downtown she used to love. Got a nice silk scarf and a photo of the two of us when I was about 5. We were at the zoo, and she actually looked proud of me. I wrapped it all up in a gift bag and made the 2-hour drive. When I got there, the house was quiet. Completely empty. No car in the driveway. No porch light. Not even the sound of the dogs barking. I knocked. Waited. Knocked again. Walked around back. Nothing. I figured maybe they were out grabbing groceries or something, so I sat on the porch swing and waited. The cake sat on my lap in its box. I put the gift bag beside me. I didn't text or call at first, I thought, just give it a minute. 45 minutes in, I finally pulled out my phone. Called my mom. Straight to voicemail. Then my dad. Same thing. My sister Meg? Nada. About an hour later, I finally got a text, from my dad, of all people. At Julie's surprise party. Didn't think you'd mind. Happy birthday. That's all it said. Nothing more. Julie is my cousin. 8 years younger. She and I used to play Barbies in Grandma's basement. We'd sleep in the same bed on Christmas Eve when the whole family was in town. I taught her how to braid her own hair. She once told me I was the only one who listened to her when she cried about her parents' divorce. And now, apparently, she was worth a surprise party. On my birthday. They had planned an entire party for her. And didn't tell me. Didn't invite me. Didn't even try to pretend like it was okay. I sat there for another 2 hours. The sun started going down. I watched it dip behind the trees. The carrot cake started to sweat in the heat, and the frosting slid a little. I could smell it. It smelled like cinnamon and shame. Eventually, I stood up. Threw the gift bag in the back seat. The scarf, the photo, useless now. I put the cake on the passenger seat and drove home in the dark. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel angry yet. I just felt empty. Like someone had scooped me out and left a shell. And I didn't call them after that. Not one word. I didn't post about it, didn't send a text. I just stopped. Fast forward 5 months. It's late August, a Thursday, and I'm at work when I get a call from a number I don't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something told me to answer. Hello, is this Miss Benson? Yes? This is Mr. Harlan. I'm an estate lawyer in Kokomo. Your great-aunt Doris passed a few weeks ago. You've been named in her will. Now, Doris was my mom's aunt. She was sharp as a tack, even in her late 80s. Loved puzzles, old movies, and pretended to hate everyone, but she always had a soft spot for me. I used to visit her when I could. Helped her fix her DVD player, took her out for soup at this tiny diner she liked. She'd never married. No kids. Just a lot of old furniture and stories about how people used to treat each other. The lawyer continued, "We need you to come in. There's a stipulation." I didn't know what that meant, but I said okay. I took the next day off, drove back up to Kokomo. I hadn't been there since my birthday. When I walked into the law office, I immediately regretted not asking more questions. Because there they were. My mom. My dad. My sister. Julie. Already seated. All of them looked like they'd been hit in the face with a snow shovel when they saw me. My mom narrowed her eyes like I'd ruined her dinner plans. Meg looked nervous. Julie stared at her lap. The lawyer introduced himself, pulled out a file, and started reading. Your great-aunt Doris left her home, savings, and all possessions to a trust. Everyone shifted in their seats. And that trust, he said, is under the control of the person she named as her sole beneficiary. Miss Benson. You could have heard a pin drop. I stared at him. What? He nodded. She left everything to you. But she added a clause. He handed me a copy. It was written in her handwriting. If my niece has not been contacted, celebrated, or treated like family by her own family for 6 full months, not counting text messages or holiday greetings, then only she may inherit. I watched how they treated you. This is my final say. My mom's jaw clenched. Julie said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Meg whispered, "No way." My dad laughed like it was a joke. Okay. But seriously, you're not going to follow that, right? The lawyer said, "We are bound to." They hadn't ignored me just for fun. They'd cut me off because they thought Doris was leaving everything to someone else. Or they thought I didn't matter. Or they thought I wouldn't find out. Well, I found out. And the look on my mother's face told me everything I needed to know. They didn't forget me. They erased me. But now? I had the house. I had the money. And I had the one thing none of them would ever get from Doris, her final word. After the reading, they all just sat there in stunned silence. No one stood up. No one said thank you. They just stared at me like I'd stolen something. Like I didn't deserve it. But I had earned it. I was the only one who showed up for Doris when she was alive. The only one who checked on her, brought her groceries when the weather was bad, sat with her when she was sick and no one else could be bothered. My mom finally spoke. This isn't what she meant. Doris didn't understand how things work now. The lawyer cut in. She understood perfectly. She updated her will twice in the last year. Both times, she was clear. Julie scoffed. So you're seriously going to take it? Like, you're not even going to share? I didn't answer right away. I just looked at them. All of them. Sitting in their Sunday best, probably thinking about what they could have done with Doris's money. How many vacations? Cars. Renovations. I looked right at Julie and said, "Why would I share anything with people who pretended I didn't exist?" My mom slapped the table. We didn't pretend. We were busy. You could have called. No, I said, I did call. On my birthday. I came to the house. With a cake. And a gift for you. You were all at Julie's party. And you didn't even think I might want to come. Julie looked away. She had the decency to look embarrassed. Meg didn't even try to defend herself. The lawyer cleared his throat. Miss Benson, we can proceed to the paperwork if you're ready. I nodded. I was ready. A week later, I walked into Doris's house with a new set of keys. It wasn't a mansion or anything. Just a solid 2-bedroom brick house with an old porch swing and a maple tree in the yard. But it was hers. And now, it was mine. I spent the first few nights just walking through the rooms, touching her teacups, sitting in her old recliner. She'd left me notes. Literal notes, taped to drawers and cabinets. The spice rack spins, but be gentle. Don't trust the top freezer shelf. It's sneaky. You are loved, whether they say it or not. That last one? I cried. For the first time since my birthday, I just sat on her floor and cried until my body gave out. Then came the texts. And the emails. And the calls. First from Meg. Hey. Mom says you're being really dramatic. Can we talk? Then from Dad. You need to think about what Doris would have wanted. You're tearing the family apart. And finally, from my mother. Enough is enough. Come to dinner Sunday. Let's move past this. But I didn't reply. Not right away. Instead, I made a copy of Doris's will and mailed it to every single person who'd ever made me feel like I didn't belong. I highlighted the clause. And on a post-it, I wrote, "You all made a choice. Now so have I." 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter. From a lawyer. Their lawyer. They were contesting the will. They claimed Doris wasn't mentally stable when she signed it. That I had influenced her. That she was vulnerable to manipulation. They were going to fight me. That's when I knew this wasn't over. They weren't just angry. They wanted to destroy what little I had left from Doris. And I wasn't going to let them. I got the letter on a Friday afternoon. Heavy envelope. Fancy law firm logo. When I opened it, my stomach turned. They were serious. They were actually accusing me of elder coercion. Said I unduly influenced Doris in her final months, that I isolated her from the rest of the family, and that the will was suspiciously modified in the weeks leading to her death. It was a complete lie. Doris had been sharp. Better memory than me half the time. And I never once asked her for a thing. I didn't even know she was leaving me anything. I just liked being around her. But that didn't matter now. Now it was war. I hired a lawyer. Not cheap, but I found someone who'd handled estate cases before. A woman named Grace from Lafayette. She was calm, professional, but when she read the complaint, she said, "This is personal. Not legal." She was right. My family couldn't stand that I'd been chosen. Not just chosen, they'd been called out. And they couldn't stand that Doris, the one they'd ignored for years, had seen them clearly. Grace helped me gather proof. Photos of visits. Receipts from grocery trips. Texts from Doris thanking me. Even videos Doris used to send me little voice messages on holidays, and I'd saved them. In one, just 4 weeks before she died, Doris said, "They're too busy for me." Always were. But you show up. You don't need to earn what I'm giving you. You already did. I cried the first time I heard it again. But then I saved it in 5 places. I knew I'd need it. Court was set for January. 4 months away. In the meantime, things got worse. I started getting anonymous messages. Stuff like, "Must be nice stealing from the dead. You think this is over?" Even worse, someone keyed my car. Right there in Doris's driveway. Deep, ugly lines. One word scratched into the driver's side, "Thief." I filed a police report. Not that it would help. I knew exactly who did it. But without proof, it was just another reminder of how far they'd go. They didn't want justice. They wanted revenge. So I gave them something to chew on. I posted on Facebook. Not a rant. Not even angry. Just a photo of Doris's living room, the old quilt on the couch, and this caption, "She left it to the one who showed up." That's all. Then I attached a recording. That same one. Doris's voice, soft and clear, saying how she knew who was really there for her. It went semi-viral in our town. Not huge, but enough. People commented. Old neighbors. Church folks. Even Julie's ex-boyfriend. Always knew you were close to her. Glad she saw through the BS. Good for you. You earned it. My mother saw it. I know because 2 days later, she showed up at the house. No call. No warning. She stood on the porch like she still owned it. When I opened the door, she said, "We need to talk. Before this gets uglier." I didn't invite her in. I just stepped outside and crossed my arms. She looked older than I remembered. Not sick, just worn down. Her voice wasn't angry this time. It was tired. "We didn't think you mattered that much to her." I stared at her. Not enough to include me in my own cousin's party? Not enough to answer the door on my birthday? She looked away. "We were just caught up. You've always been kind of distant. You made me distant." She didn't respond. Then she said, "If you don't drop the will contest, it's going to get nasty. There are things you don't want brought up in court." That caught me off guard. "What does that mean?" She smiled, but it was cold. "Doris wasn't perfect. And neither were you. You really want every detail of your childhood dragged out?" That's when I realized something I hadn't seen before. They weren't just scared of losing money. They were scared of what would come out if we went to court. What they had done. And I was about to find out just how bad it really was. I stood there on Doris's porch, face to face with my mother, as she hinted at some dark secret she thought she could use to scare me. "You really want every detail of your childhood dragged out," she'd said. It stopped me cold. Not because I was afraid, but because for the first time I saw her clearly. My own mother, threatening to humiliate her own child just to keep control. Just to win. "You know what?" I said. "Do it. Drag it all out. I'm not the one who should be afraid of the past." She blinked. That smug look on her face cracked. "You think I don't remember the things you said to me growing up? The way you made me feel like I was always an accident? Like I was some burden you had to tolerate?" She didn't answer. "I remember the bruises. I remember Meg pretending not to hear the yelling. I remember you telling me, 'You're lucky we didn't leave you at the hospital.'" Her face paled. "You think a courtroom would look at that and call me unstable? Go ahead. Bring it." She turned and left without another word. 3 weeks later, we went to court. I sat with Grace on one side. My mom, Dad, Meg, and Julie sat on the other with their lawyer, some stiff guy in a gray suit who looked annoyed to even be there. It didn't last long. Grace presented everything, the receipts, the voice messages, the notes Doris left around the house. She played that recording, Doris's voice, clear as day, saying I earned everything. Their lawyer tried to argue that Doris was manipulated, but he had nothing. Then Grace brought out the big one. A letter Doris had written 2 months before she passed. Not part of the will. Just a personal letter. But it was signed, dated, and notarized. In it, Doris said, "I'm leaving everything to the one who made me feel seen. My niece was there when no one else was. If they try to take this from her, they will only prove my point." The judge looked at their lawyer and said, "Unless you have real evidence of wrongdoing, I'm inclined to uphold the will." Their lawyer asked for a recess. An hour later, they dropped the case. I walked out of that courtroom and didn't look back. I didn't answer Meg's half-hearted "maybe we can talk sometime" text. I didn't respond to my dad's email full of excuses and "you know how your mother is." I didn't even open the envelope from Julie that showed up 2 weeks later. They'd made their choice. And now I'd made mine. I sold Doris's house that spring. Used the money to move to Asheville, North Carolina. Quiet, green, far from everything I'd known. I started over. I bought a small place with a big porch and a view of the hills. I planted a garden, something Doris always wanted to do but never had the energy for. I put her photo by the front door. Every night, I sit out there with a cup of tea and look out over the yard. Sometimes I still get texts from Meg. They go unanswered. I keep a voicemail from Doris saved on my phone. You were never invisible. They just refused to see you. But I did. That's all I ever needed. That, and the peace of knowing they'll never forget the birthday they tried to erase me, and the woman who made sure I'd never be erased again.